Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important news at their companies. With us today, I'm happy to have again Brad Loisel. He's CEO of betterU Education Corp. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange on the stock symbol BTRU, and for our friends in Germany on Frankfurt under 50GA. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, and that's going to be a lot of you because betterU is making a lot of waves in the headlines lately. This is the only global education marketplace serving India. It's also the largest such marketplace in the emerging markets. As a result, the company already has significant Indian partnerships and customers. For example, they partnered with the Telecom Sector Skill Council to skill millions of people in the telecom space. In addition, they partnered with the Central Bank of India to train all their assistant managers. They've got a mobile payment structure that others simply are unable to provide and gives them fantastic access to the market. They're preparing multi-million-dollar campaigns as we speak. As a result, global online education leaders are partnering with betterU in order to access the market. For example, Adobe is just one of many such partners. Timing couldn't be better because the Indian government has a mandate to skill up 500 million of their people by 2022. And in 2017 that just passed, the government doubled their spending on online education from 20 billion to $40 billion. But if that wasn't enough, if you think all that success was enough, the company announced just a couple of days ago that it's signed a definitive agreement and provide an update on a $100 million finance. That's US dollars 100 million at $3 US per share. Almost sounds too good to be true, so we're here to talk with Brad about it. Brad, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here, George. It's good to see you again.
Brad, it's always good to see you. It's even better to see you when you're providing the kind of update you provided just the other day. When you first announced this 3 months ago, it seemed too good to be true. Let's face it, a lot of people just couldn't wrap their mind around the fact that you had a 40-cent stock at the time, now over 70 cents, and somebody wanted to finance you at $3 US per share. So yeah, there was a lot of skepticism out there. But it's now been over 3 months. Your company has continued to issue updates and press releases, and this last definitive agreement pretty much sets the timetable for getting this done in and around the end of end of March, first couple of weeks of April. Before we get into those details, tell us about the resources that you've expended dedicating to ensuring that this deal going through, so that everybody at home realizes this isn't just a flash in the pan idea. There are real resources being dedicated here.
Yeah, we've been working on this for 7-8 months. It's not we announced it 3 months ago because it took a while to get there. Over the course of that period, we've put together plans and gone through both due diligence of their group, our group. We went overseas to meet with their investment committee, understand who's involved. The chairman of our board is good friends with the investment groups and the people that are associated. So it's coming. The relationship's coming from a warm source that he's known for decades. It's not a cold opportunity that's automatically came to us. After those months of due diligence and planning and all that kind of stuff, we had to put together, what's our strategy to spend that kind of money? How are we going to grow that into different emerging markets and all that kind of stuff? There's lots and lots and lots of effort. Even to the point where today, we've been setting everything up in terms of the office expansion. We've extended our lease based on conditions that had to have been met with this investment group to take up the space all around where we are right now, going from 4,000 to I think 15,000 over this next 6 months. Growing our team, we brought on leadership. I brought on a director of people and culture recently to help with hiring and setting up our contracting and all that kind of stuff. We've interviewed our COO. I need someone who can work with me right hand to build the international offices. We hired a director of regional Western Europe, who came on to start setting up our offices and partnering, because we have strategies going into different countries that are all pulling together into our marketplace. We've interviewed our brand and creative director. All these individuals that I'm mentioning, by the way, that we've gone through the process, we're actually in the contracting stage of bringing them on board to continue building the team that we need. Our growth forecast is hundreds of people that we're bringing on board, and I need to have the right key leadership in place to be able to facilitate that growth. So we've been taking all the steps to make sure we're planning this out properly. Going to the speculation part, lots of people speculate on the stock price. Too good to be true. I don't blame them, to be honest with you. It's a really big deal. But if you look at the history of how this has progressed and the updates we give updates on a regular basis to show where we are with our timelines. Sometimes agreements take a little bit longer to close, and so the timelines may shift a little bit. But if you look at what we're building and where we are, we're still on track for the March final closure. Lots of effort.
What I'm hearing is, even if you think there's skepticism out there, you're actually making hard decisions right now based on your expectations of this finance. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing, I hadn't heard that before, is you're going from 4,000 square feet to 15. Let's call it 16 and make it 4 times. I mean, you're making commitments like that based on this.
Yeah, just in Ottawa. But it was, of course, it wasn't just a whimsical decision. It was a decision based on us closing certain stages with the investment group that we have 100% confidence that we're moving forward with certain parts of it. So we've done things and seen a lot more than the public has, and we can't disclose a lot of the internal conversations and the things that we've viewed and analyzed. So we've always tried to make sure the press releases were shaped that it would disclose that we're still moving ahead. And it's reflective. The skepticism is reflective in our stock price, which still boggles my mind that in this type of environment.
Up, though, in all fairness, it has been moving up from it was the 40-ish now it's in the 70-ish range. So you definitely have some believers out there, that's for sure.
Bit by bit. If people look at my history of who I am and the companies I've built in the past and understand the way I think and my growth strategy, like even for this company, I can't sell my shares on the stock exchange. I've signed a pooling agreement for the next 5 years. I did that because I'm building a company. I'm not concerned about where the stock price is going to go up. I'm a little flabbergasted that where the stock prices have been based on these announcements. Just surprised on the psyche of these investors in the market. But from their perspective, if I was in their shoes, the risk versus reward, speculation, this opportunity is going up, the consistency of our announcements and the deal still moving forward, the group of people that we have around us in terms of our leadership, our management team, our advisors, there are a lot of really big people around the world that are working with us in this. So if people are skeptic, I think they need to step back and look at us as a company and say, wait a minute, is this for real, this company? Like, who's participating in them? Who are the partners? And understanding really who we are, don't look at our stock price and go 40 cents or 70 cents now to $3 and go, I just don't believe it. Really understand our company.
And when you think about it, for everyone at home, the nature of the small cap markets, let's face it, is essentially venture cap financing. That's what you're doing. You're buying stocks in venture deals at the end of the day, much like Silicon Valley, except that you have access to them. So there is, when you think about it, speculation plays a significant role in this, and which companies are going to be able to actually fulfill those speculations versus others. And I can't give investment advice at the end of the day, but we're not selling any shares. Even our agreement is a shares for services agreement. We have no intention on letting any of our shares go at any price, not till all this is all done. So we feel very confident in that as well. So we can't tell you what to do at home, but hey, that is the nature of the beast. Now, let me move on to this. Shareholders have to be happy that you announced a definitive agreement. But there are some conditions in place. To me, when I read your press release, it looks like these are more corporate organization items. As they have to incorporate the company that came out and have to then create the subsidiaries that will hold all the investments and things like that. So to me, it looks more procedural.
Yeah, but paper and process.
Only you can answer this question, which is, I think you've already answered actually. You must be extremely confident the money is there. The company just, the investors just need the time to, go through lawyers and go through countries and create corporations and subsidiaries. Is that pretty much all that's left in all this in your understanding?
That's all that's left. It's paper and process at this point. Like I said earlier, we view things and have seen things and done due diligence on more than just the company. We've done due diligence on access to capital, the capacity of the fund, all that kind of stuff. So we've actually seen things that have given us complete confidence that all this is happening. When we did this update, the condition precedents that are in this are part of anything. The next, and this has always been part of our milestones that we've listed out. It was the definitive agreement, then the subscription agreement. The subscription agreement is the actual purchase of the shares, which is the last step. So in this agreement, before we can complete the definitive agreement, we need to know the name of the bank account. We need to know who's going to be in charge of the fund. We need to know the auditors who are participating in it. So we know all those details. We didn't disclose all the information that we know because there's still some confidential details. I went, and just so you understand, before we announced this, we obviously went to the exchange first, and we gave them the details and shared because we want to make sure that from a transparency perspective, and understand me as a shareholder, anybody who's ever been part of my previous companies that were private, I give updates all the time, and updates that would detail everything. I can't do that publicly because I'm allowed, but I was always very transparent with my shareholders, so they always knew where we were, good and bad, and what was coming. With this, it's a little more framed to make sure the disclosures are proper, which is great, and I have a good team of advisors that advise me what I can and cannot say. But yeah, it's paper and process right now. That's all it is. It's everything else has been approved. It's just really waiting for the signature and transfers and.
Yep, and listen, that requires a lot of signatures, a lot of paperwork. There are bureaucracies. Obviously, there are foreign entities involved, so and law firms in different time zones, so that has to get done. I really like something you said there, which is you ran this press release by the regulators, and regulators always get, no matter what, they're like referees in the NHL. They always get a hard time. But the fact of the matter is, and I know the regulators very well, I've got to imagine that the exchange, IROC, commissions, they're just not going to let you put out a press release like this. Now, it doesn't mean that they're guaranteeing it's going to happen, but they're not going to let you issue press releases like this, multiple press releases, unless you've shown them substantial reason to be confident that this deal, in fact, will be consummated. Because otherwise, everyone would just be throwing out fly-by-night press releases, and maybe that was a small cap space 30 years ago, but not today. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, about kind of the rigor you've gone through the regulator.
Yeah, well, when you look at the exchange's job, right? Their job is really to make sure that the news going out, like when it comes to contracting and deals and stuff like that, they have no involvement in that because that's not their job, right? That's a company's job. But their job is to make sure the information being disseminated to the public really represents what your actual deal is. And no one could ever tell if a deal is 100% because until the deal is completely closed, it's never 100%. But their job, and they do a really good job of it. They're very diligent. They, working with their team, they've always been, they question a lot. They want to see a lot of things. And it's not really to judge the opportunity. It's to make sure that whatever we're going to disclose really represents the risks, the opportunity, and ensures that the public market is getting the information that they need to make the right decisions.
And I think that's very important for people at home. This isn't just a press release being whipped up by Brad and the team, to tell you about what's going on. They've had to demonstrate that these events will reasonably take place, have a reasonable expectation take place, as opposed to just, we think we cured cancer and we'll let you know. You just can't do that, right? So I think that's really important for everyone at home.
Yeah. So they've been great with us. They, they're doing their job, which is really important, and we're being proactive about it too. Like, we signed, as you saw in the press release, we signed this deal back in early February, and it took until now to release it. And we did that because we wanted to make sure that there was that time for them to not necessarily do deep dive due diligence, but they participated in. They got to see some of our contracts. They got to understand what the logistics and the timing and all that kind of stuff was, so that they can say, okay, your press release actually reflects what you're showing us and telling us.
Treasury Union, they're bringing the bucks, and obviously that's a very big part of this. That's the most important part, especially for investors. But they're more than just the money. Maybe explain to people as well what the strategic benefit or other benefits are of having Treasury Union as part of the team going forward.
Well, Treasury Union is the management group of that's going to be managing the funds. They're not the actual funders. There's a bunch of funders that have come together to form this pool. They're the ones that are managing it. So the great thing about Treasury Union and Kenny and George and these guys, completely transparent. They talk to us on a regular basis. It's not one of these things where when we're dealing with investment groups that you don't hear from them for a few months, right? Virtually every week they're sending notes, updates. We're talking about structures and going back and forth, and it's consistent since day one. So this is what gives us an increased confidence that this opportunity is real and moving forward. Is their constant involvement, and not just involvement in us, but all the other things. They're investing in a bunch of other companies too, and we know some which we're not going to disclose. But we see this. We see all the transitions from them. The other thing too, which is really great about this group, is George is a good example. A very senior business guy. He's been around for a very long time. Very well connected globally. The other thing which is interesting is this is a very big group of funds. And we're getting a very small piece of it. By building these relationships and strong partnerships, it helps us with future opportunities as well. Because it could give us access to additional growth capital if we needed it, which to be honest, I really don't think we will. But it gives us that opportunity, and it gives us these network of senior business people around the world, which is absolutely fantastic for us.
Let's switch gears a little bit before I give you last words, which is this. One thing that you and I talked about when we first met and I heard about betterU, one of the concerns I always have with companies is marketing. You can have the best widget, the best product, but when you're going out to retail, not B2B necessarily, even though you do have a lot of business partners, that's for sure. Marketing is always a concern for me, and that's where most companies fail. But you proved pretty early on that you've got $30 million marketing deals, $10 million marketing deals where you partnered with major Indian media companies. And now you put out a press release just this morning, which caught me off guard. So I want to throw this on the end. I'm going to read the headline.
Sorry.
betterU is, no, I like it. betterU is scheduled to launch national marketing campaign across India during Prime Minister Trudeau's state visit. And that's coming up. That's part of your $10 million deal with Hindustan Times, if I understand that correctly, right?
Yeah.
How big? When is that happening, and how big is that going to be, and how perfect does that timing fit with Justin Trudeau?
Yeah. So what's interesting is people always ask me this: when are we launching our mass campaigns? And I'm very strategic. My team and I, we always think about how do we get the best bang for our dollar, I guess, best bang for our buck. And when I heard that Trudeau was going to be visiting India, I knew it was going to be a big event. So I joined the campaign. I'll be going to events that Trudeau will be at, and the trade commissioners and all that invited my team to come to these different events. And then I thought, you know what? There's going to be some significant players from all over the world, from within India, all coming together in these different spots. There's an event next week, 23rd, 24th, where global leaders, about 2,000, coming together, from the CEO of Uber to CEO of Netflix to Coursera to the co-founder of Apple, and it goes on and on. There's so many of them. And I thought this is a perfect strategic time to launch our mass campaigns. So we will be having campaigns starting Monday, front page, Hindustan Times,
front page. You're talking front page, not inside. Internal. No. You're talking right on the front page.
Yeah. So Monday it's going to start off with a two-pager. The first page that you're going to see open up. It'll be inside a full page as us as well. Every day we're doing something like that. On the partly through the week we're doing a 4-page power package, which is going to be the front page, the in page, the back page, and the back cover page. High gloss, really, really, really impactful. What's important about this is all these leaders that are coming from all over the world are staying in the same hotels. So they're going to wake up. You get newspapers at the front of every door of every single one of these hotels. They're going to see betterU right away. And then all the events that we go to, when they hear about us and they meet us, they're really going to know. So from an exposure perspective, my team here has been doing a fantastic job of putting together the creative and what it's going to look like, the strategies around it. It will be a massive. One of the HT heads said, after this week, you guys are going to be the talk of the country, because it goes across everywhere. It's across the entire country. Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, like all the different people, different countries, cities. It's going to be very impactful.
Right, that's tremendous, and especially when you consider the fact that some of the companies you mentioned, Uber, Netflix, those kind of companies, these companies we'll get to that in a second. These companies are very socially conscious as well. They have bigger purposes. So seeing betterU is going to have a much better impact, a much bigger impact on them, I would presume, than seeing Agoracom launching, a financial community in India. Okay, that would be great. But here, I think they're going to really get it, right? I'm spitballing here, but these guys love social investing. They love things that have a purpose, that make the world better. So I would have to think, and maybe you know the answer, that it's going to resonate with them when they see this.
It will, and our whole point of doing this now is, aside from the mass exposure it's going to get, it's going to resonate with senior government officials, because there's going to be a heightened collection of them in all the major cities because of the Prime Minister's event. And in addition to that, it will create global buzz, because you have leaders from different parts of the world that are going to be talking about us, leaving, thinking about us. How can we partner with betterU? This could be a great opportunity to connect. So strategically, we've been trying to figure out how do we do this, and this made the most sense. Prime Minister visit. We'll be part of these events. We're not going to the political meetings or anything like that, but the actual business event side of things. And my team will be there. So we'll have a good team networking, and it's going to be a very good week.
Any chance, I don't know how big the Canadian delegation is going to be, maybe hundreds of companies or maybe a small select group, but any chance you might have Justin Trudeau actually mention the name or talk about betterU in any of his conversations or speeches?
Well, yeah, we hope so. I've been talking with the High Commissioner, Nadir Patel, about this, and they do announcements of deals that have closed and partnerships, and this is part of all this PR stuff. The more that the government sees us as well, the more, right? Yeah, the more that they'll hopefully start putting us on a different level, a different playing field than other companies, because they'll see, you know what, these guys are really here. I see them every day.
Brad, it feels like, you guys have always been hitting on all cylinders, but it just feels now as if betterU is really shifting gears and really going to the next level. It just seems like it's all coming together, and this next 45 days is going to be unbelievable. So last words to you before I congratulate you for what you've done and then wish you good luck. But any last words for everyone watching at home?
I want to emphasize this point in particular. The reason why we're doing this is to help change lives of millions of people across India and other emerging markets to access education from around the world. A lot of people, it kind of bothers me somewhat, where, so many people I deal with want to know the funding part of it, or want to know why the stock prices are here and that. My vision is to build a good company that can help a lot of people. You do that right, the business will take care of itself. The business will take care of the stock market and their shareholders. Our focus has always been on that. Focus on creating that positive outcome that can change lives of people for a real problem. This is a significant, real problem in these emerging markets. It's not something where we've come up with a new app to, create a new Uber or a new whatever. It's a new financial system.
Another ride sharing of bikes, scooters, skateboards, cars.
No, our business has been, we want to change the lives of people for the better in these countries, because they're struggling and they need access to education. And for years and years and years and years, I've been talking about, we are going to educate nations. At the very beginning, no one really believed me, because it takes a long time to put all this stuff together. But now that we've gone to this point where we have over 12,000 programs, we have some of the largest educators in the world that have partnered with us already, and more that are working with us. We have key leadership that are joining us, and we are now stepping forward into what I think is a stage of our company that we will start to see significant change and impact in who we are and the impact in the countries we're going into. The investment coming in and why they saw value in us is they're from Asia. They understand the real problems and the challenges. They looked at our business model. They looked at what we've been building and said, you know what, you guys are building something that we really haven't seen anywhere before, and we think with the right funding, this could be the solution. So this is why the value and what they look in us is, good for them, good for us.
And not to be piggybacking, but anyone can do a search on Twitter of Agoracom and education. And from back in 2011, that's why I believe so much in you guys. That's why I know this is the solution. Because from 2011, I've been banging the table in different posts and different conversations with people online, long before I ever knew you, that online education was the only solution. It was the only way we're going to get everyone in the world on the same page as fast as possible. Bricks and mortar schools, too expensive, too much bureaucracy, just too difficult to deliver, and that was it. So up pops betterU a few years later. And I have very little doubt. I'm going to give everyone my opinion at home. That's my opinion. Very little doubt as to the fact that Brad is going to succeed at meeting that goal and therefore succeed at building a company and shareholder value. The only question is degree of success. And that's wide open right now. When I mean wide open, this is me talking. This isn't Brad. This isn't betterU. When I mean me talking, there's a reason why in previous interviews I've said that betterU is exactly like all the game-changing companies in the world right now. Netflix doesn't own anything physical. Airbnb doesn't own a hotel room. Uber doesn't own a cab. What they are marketplaces that bring together products and content with people that need it. And these are the superstar companies going forward. And this is betterU, right? betterU doesn't produce the content. It just partners with great content providers, builds a marketplace, and then gets it out effectively and cost effectively and efficiently out to millions and tens of millions and literally even billions of people at the end of the day. How do you measure, the degree of that potential success going forward? All I know is I'm going to give this company a shot. I'm going to wait because nobody else is doing it. So, Brad, that's my 2 cents on saying, that's why I say you're not just a client. It's not just because you're a client I have to say that, because I actually don't have to say that. It's my belief that this is what makes the world better, which is going to create value, which is going to make shareholders happy. So it's a win, double win for the entire planet at the end of the day.
That's good. That's great, George. Thank you.
You've been watching Brad Wazell. He's CEO of betterU Education. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol betterU for our friends in Germany, on Frankfurt under 50GA. Now, you've heard everything you needed to hear. The next 45 to 60 days, between now and mid-April, around April 15th, is going to be a monster game changer. The company is launching its mass media front page marketing campaign in India starting next week. The financing is scheduled to close. You have everything you need to do your due diligence. You heard it here. Don't say we didn't tell you, but we're going to have Brad back on here, and I suspect it's going to be under even more celebratory reasons to have him. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Brad, good luck in India. Thanks for being here. We know how much your time is compressed with things you have to get done, so we appreciate you being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day. Talk to you.